Hello, everyone, and welcome to People of Interest. I'm your host, Miguel Guanipa. People of Interest it's a show that is based on stories from people like me and you. Today, I have a very special guest. He's a very good friend, and she's also an entrepreneur and a very lively lady. Just a lot of energy. Her name is Jessica Schotanus. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You can look at me if
Okay.
unless you want to tell them something. You can
No.
look at them. So you have a good day today. You're telling me?
I did.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
busy. You've been very busy these
Yes,
days.
I have.
Tell me a little bit about the business that you have actually first of all, so
So
you
I
can
do
tell people too.
kitchen bath design, kind of turnkey. So I project manage all the subcontractors and everything, so the customers don't have to talk to a million people. They just have to talk to me.
What's the turnkey thing? I heard that before,
Turnkey.
but it's
So
like
some of my customers give us a key. They keep going on with their busy careers, and I let everybody in, and or my contractor, and let everybody back out, and no one they don't have to be at the house while we do it.
oh, is it like one of those TV shows? They're
Yeah,
taken away and they do all the work, and then
yeah,
do you open up the
remodel it,
walls and whatever
and
to
yeah.
show them like the smile?
No, I don't
No,
do that big chip and go.
no, you don't do the
No,
chicken.
Gaines. No, Joanna Gaines thing.
No.
But um, I do the before and after pictures, and that's really fun. So
And do you enjoy what is that part of the job that you enjoy
the
the most?
design and figuring out the people and how they live.
Oh.
I pick apart their brains. I ask quite a few questions to figure out
Mm-hmm.
exactly how they live in their space
Mm-hmm.
and how to design it best
Mm-hmm.
for them. I really like it when people are staying in their home for a while rather than they just want to come into me and just flip their house. So,
Oh. Okay.
yeah, because it's just a little bit more personal and I can, get their personality into this space.
Ah. So you get what do they call that thing? Feng shui or something?
Yes,
Is
and
that
a little bit of feng shui at
is
times
that
with
a
the
real thing?
customers.
Is that a real
Yes,
thing?
that is. To certain customers, yes, I'll do that for
Oh, it's
them.
to the people.
But mostly I do it to maximize the space, storage, how they use it. Feng shui doesn't always help that.
No.
No.
You know, I'm thinking about feng shui. Would that apply to like let's say your bedroom, for example? You think I
Yes,
suppose
so
it
like
applies to any
like
space.
you're not supposed to put a bed against a window,
Oh.
or you're supposed to have always the feet facing out towards a window, and there's other
What?
things about
Really?
it. Yes,
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I'm asking you this because I'm not. I sleep, but I'm not the best sleeper.
yes.
Okay. And Christine, when she hits the pillow, my wife, my wife, she falls asleep. She just hits the
I
pillow,
wish I was like her.
falls asleep. So one day, we moved the bed
Hmm.
to one wall, and it was facing the window.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, little because she likes to do a little rearranging once in a while. That night, I fell asleep.
Yeah.
She didn't,
Oh.
and I thought she had trouble sleeping. And I thought, oh, can we keep it this way? Because this is, I mean, he fell asleep just like that. No, she couldn't sleep, so we had to put it back the other way.
Is the window behind your bed?
No, the window was in front.
Oh.
That's how we put it.
No, before you moved it.
The window's on the side.
On the
Right.
side is still fine with feng
And
shui.
no, but is there something about, is there some kind of balance or something that am
There
I missing
is,
something?
there is,
Or-
there. The way you moved it secondly is the way it's supposed to be, like out to.
I should be facing the window.
Yes.
Can you give her a call and tell her?
I will.
That's the only time that I slept.
I usually don't get in between couples, but
Yes.
I'll tell her. I'm usually Switzerland.
Yeah, so I will have to explain that joke to me later. Is that about the war or something? Or?
Yeah, I don't get in between two people arguing.
Oh,
No.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I learned over my years it doesn't help.
Has that happened when you go to help somebody with a house? Like you
Oh,
have different
I
ideas
am
and-
definitely turned into designing for the sexes. I learned what to say and what not to say.
Oh,
Yeah. And sometimes people just are upset, and then in the end they say, I'm sorry I doubted you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. My job is part psychologist, part remodeler. I talk my customers off the metaphorical cliff quite a bit
Mm.
because having your house, your heart or your home torn up is disrupting.
It can take it's
Yes.
very stressful. I know that. I
Yeah.
was thinking about talk about you a little bit. I know you a little bit. I don't haven't known you that long, but
No.
you seem like the kind of person that you can get to know very easily. Is that true, or am I?
Yes. Like I've lived quite a few places, and it doesn't take me long to make friends, and I take people as not the book cover, but as I learn who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they can see that. So I'm very thankful. My mother has taught me that.
Your
So,
mother?
yes.
Your mother's a
She
very
says if there isn't anything nice to say, don't say it.
yeah. See, if you don't have
So,
anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's like
exactly.
an old saying.
Yes.
But do you when you meet people, what do you do? Like, what do you do to try to build rapport with them? What is
Just
it?
find out about them.
Find out
I
about
don't,
them.
yes.
Ah.
I grew up in a very large family, and I was the number 4 of 5. So growing up, I wasn't allowed to speak a lot. It
Yeah.
sounds bad to say, but, until you were older, always the oldest had the chair and whatnot. But,
Yeah.
so I kind of it was just the way I grew up that, I just ask questions, and also through design and everything that I love so much. It's just, I ask.
How many children were in your family? How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
2 brothers and 2 sisters. And you were number 4?
I was number 4. I was the youngest for 14 years.
The youngest of 14 years.
Yeah, and then my dad had a surprise.
Yeah. Youngest of 14 years. Oh, yeah. I'm losing. What does that
So, my oldest brother Pete
Mhm.
and myself are
Yeah.
5 years apart.
mean? Oh, okay. All right.
And then Victoria came 14 years later.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
This is Tori.
Yes.
Oh.
So there's 20 years between the oldest and youngest.
Oh. So Tori, that's where Tori comes from, Victoria.
Yes.
Oh. And so when you grew up, like, the boss was the older one first, or was she the one that ruled the roost kind of deal, or?
Pete's very laid back. Yannicka, she kind of ruled the roost a little bit, I guess.
Oh,
Sorry, Jan.
is she after the second one or the first one?
She was the second.
Oh, okay.
And then Jeremiah was the third, and myself was the fourth.
Mm.
Yeah. So there's a lot of us. With 4 of us in 5 years, it made for a chaotic house.
Yeah.
I'm surprised my mom is still sane.
Yeah. Well, we don't know that, do we? I'm just kidding. You said that.
I did.
So you told me when we were talking earlier that you have been in 7 states.
6. I've lived in
6
6.
states. You lived
I've
in
been
6
in
states.
quite a few states. I
So
love
tell
to
me some
travel.
of what are the states that you have been in?
So I grew up in Whitensville, Mass. Obviously, well, Linwood,
Yeah.
and then I moved to Tennessee in
Tennessee.
Jackson, and then I moved to Millington after that, which is north of Memphis. I worked on the Memphis Queen River boats.
Still in Tennessee, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And then from there, where did we go? We moved to Maine, then New Hampshire.
Tennessee to Maine.
Yes, my ex's family lived in Maine, so
Mhm.
we
Oh,
stayed with
okay.
them for a little bit, and then moved to New Hampshire. And then him being a boat captain, I just kind of followed where his career moved us.
Mm-hmm.
I kept picking up design jobs or anything that I could do. I did lighting and different things. Although up in Maine, I worked at the Kittery Trading Post. That was
Oh,
a
yeah?
hoot. Yeah,
Oh,
that was quite fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big place.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then moved back to Massachusetts, and then Maryland, Annapolis, Maryland. Oh, I loved that place.
It's nice over there.
Oh yeah.
Is the weather warmer and then here? Is it about the same?
Yeah,
The
it's
winter?
mild. The winters, it snows an inch and then it melts like
Yeah.
within 2 days. So because you're so close to the ocean, and then I moved to Ohio for 5 years. That's probably the
Ohio.
longest in
Wow.
Cincinnati. Yeah.
So did you notice a difference in the people in the different states that you were
Oh,
in? Some of them?
definitely, yes. Down in Tennessee, we were trying to find the first place we were moving to, and we stopped at a corner gas station, and the person talked to us for about probably 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas up here you say, "Hey, where is this?" They'll tell you and then just look back down again.
It's a little different.
Oh, quite. They were very nice down there, although I had to learn to let up on my lead foot because I was told that if I had a northern accent and got pulled over, I would surely get a ticket just by my
Yeah.
accent.
So you driving fast too once in a while?
Oh, this is the Schotanus way. I got my dad's lead foot.
The Schotanus way.
Yep. So, yeah, that was interesting. My sister Yannicka actually came down for a visit when I lived in Tennessee, and she made fun of me. She said I drove like a granny.
What?
Yep.
That means that was slow.
Yes, because I didn't want to get pulled over ever.
Oh.
So I adjusted how I drove.
Yeah.
So, and my aunt and uncle, my mother's sister, Wendy, and my uncle Rick live in Columbia, Tennessee.
Mhm.
And they said the same thing. Just be careful with your accent. I was like, okay. So, yeah, it's different. It was like,
So which one do you liked Annapolis a lot? You said there was a lot of.
yeah, I think I liked Annapolis a lot because of the ocean being there. Cincinnati, the parks were beautiful, but I'm such a fish. I love to swim, and
Oh.
so it was either an hour into Kentucky to an okay lake or into Indiana.
You love
Same
the
thing.
ocean.
And I do love the ocean.
Yeah.
That's what got me to move back. So.
Oh, okay.
And also take over the family business. So, but I wanted to design for other people to find out what they did right and wrong before I came back and worked for my parents.
So these days you're working on the shop there, the
Yeah, Schotanus Design Center. Yep.
And you're like the turnkey person there.
Yes.
Whatever
Yes,
they call it.
I like it a lot. I put a lot of effort into detail, and sometimes some of my customers like, oh my goodness, I didn't know there was this much involved. And yep.
Yeah.
I like to find it all out before, not during, so we're not going forward and backwards.
How do you get your name out there? What do you do?
It's mostly referral.
Refer?
Yep. Past customers refer me, and I advertise in the local papers like the Uxbridge Times and the Yankee Express.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Is there a specific time when there's more people doing house?
Oh,
Designs and
definitely.
other times,
It
or?
usually slows down December for new stuff, like not projects underway are always really busy from when kids go to school till the holiday, and then starting January, that's when I get super busy with new measures and stuff. And same thing with September. I was slammed with new measures, and yeah.
So around when it starts getting a little, I guess around the fall, it picks up a little
Yeah,
bit?
the spring and the fall, it picks up. It's unfortunately, I wish I could like even it all out, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like crashing waves. It comes and goes.
And you adapt pretty well to that kind of an environment?
Yes, because growing up with a dad that was custom home builder,
Yeah.
we knew.
All right,
It was
that's
kind
right.
of feast or famine, and that's
Yeah.
where I got my love for it. Because when I was real little, I'd go with my dad to pouring the foundation to it being framed, and then going back when I could, and seeing it all framed up and then drywalled in, and so.
Oh, so you used to be with your dad when he was doing this
Yes.
work, and you observe and
Yeah.
participate?
Because every now and then my mom had to be somewhere, my dad had to babysit me, so he brought me along.
Yeah. So like how young were you when you first?
Before school.
before
So,
school?
yep. And then once I was old enough to, like, say, hey, I want to come out and see that job because I'd see his drawing table and see it on print.
Yeah.
Then I'd see it foundation and whatever, and then framed, and it was so magical.
Yeah?
I liked it.
Did you ever play
It's me.
hooky? Like, no, go to school and
Oh
go
no,
to,
my parents wouldn't let me do that.
no? No?
No. So,
Mm.
but once I started driving, or once I was old enough to get a working permit, I worked in the field with my dad's carpenters,
Mm.
doing this and that. It was Girl Friday, as he called me.
Girl Friday?
Girl Friday.
Oh.
You know that phrase? I don't know. It
No, what is-
means anything, any task that needs to be done. You
Girl
do.
Friday, that's what it's called?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm surprised you never heard that.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, my dad.
I
my
knew,
dad
I
said
heard
that.
of a take your daughter to work day when I
Yes.
used to work in the
Oh,
office.
yeah. He did that before I was in school, but
Yeah.
yeah.
He started that trend. They should have named it after him. He started doing that.
Right?
Yeah.
That would have been good.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you and what makes you tick. All right.
Goodness, what makes me tick?
Well, I haven't asked the question yet.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you. Unless you want to tell me already.
I love traveling.
Yeah.
I mainly go see friends or family and stay with them and see what they do and what they love. For example, I've gone out to see my Aunt Nella and my Uncle Rod out in Colorado quite a few times. I've taken some hikes in the Rockies, and when I lived in Cincinnati, I had a best friend, Sally, and she was from England originally, and a year after I moved back here, she moved back to England, and I went to go visit her in like 2012, and that was fantastic. It was my
Wow.
first time. That was probably the furthest I've gone. So
Wow.
I'd like to do more trips, but running a business, you can't
Yeah.
get away for too long.
Yeah. So you like to travel?
I do.
Oh. Well, that's nice.
Yeah,
England.
because then I love to observe. I like to be that fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Just airports is one of my favorite places.
Really?
Yes.
You like looking at weirdos? I mean, regular people? You do-
No, it's just
You do the
'cause,
weirdo watching? I do that
you'll
too.
be in, say, Chicago International or down in Georgia or
Mhm.
something, and there's people in shorts and tank tops, or there's
Yeah.
people in winter coats, and it's just
At the same time.
Yes, I think
Oh.
it would be a writer's dream.
Mm.
So it's really fun. I usually take a book with me when I travel, and I find I read one page and just watch everybody.
Yeah. Well, there's a
So-
lot of different people.
Oh
in
my
the airport,
goodness,
yeah.
it's very fun.
Do you like to write once in a while? Do you write at all?
I did a little bit of it when I came back from Cincinnati, but
Yeah.
I don't. I'm so busy. Otherwise, I haven't done it in quite a while.
What were you writing?
Just
You can tell me. Come on.
like
It's people
little
of interest.
funny poems or whatever,
Poems?
just of the day,
Wonderful.
of my feelings of,
Oh.
because I did get a divorce, so I'd put it down on paper instead of
Oh.
ranting to a friend or,
Was
you
it
know.
cathartic, kind of? Doing that? Is that what you're
Not
saying?
necessarily, just of kind of the day's woes, or like about work where I wish this job would have went smoother, but it didn't, and the
That's what
customer.
the poem is
that-
about?
Yes. Yes,
That's
it's
okay.
only my poems,
It's your
only to me. Just
Yeah.
more of a journal, I guess.
So it's like like
yes,
you're
but
writing
yeah,
and you're talking
So,
about the things
yeah.
that happen,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, it's good. It feels
Yes.
good doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
but now I think I do more of hiking in the woods and going down to Brenton Point, down in Newport, and just
No more writing?
taking
Well, you don't have to be like, it doesn't have to be a tough thing
Well,
for you
but
to write, does it?
I paint. I
Oh, you paint
make
too?
jewelry, so that's my other access.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I design so much at work. Sometimes I just need to
Yeah, just
have my brain
do
still.
nothing, like
Yes.
turn the TV on and watch something that requires
Exactly.
no thinking.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's all right. So
Yeah.
what do you usually watch if you're gonna watch something that this is just my
Oh,
relaxing
I-
time?
I like kind of investigative shows
Who?
and investigative shows.
Investigative show, like
Yeah.
CSI and whatever?
Yeah,
Oh.
sort of that. You know what?
Columbo? You
I
watch
don't
Columbo?
have. Oh, I love Columbo.
You do?
I do. I like the old stuff.
What year is this? This like
I know. I'm as
Just kidding.
some of my friends say I'm an old soul. I don't know.
No,
'Cause
Columbo's great, but
I like the old stuff. I used to watch Victor Borga with my grandparents.
oh,
and-
the guy with the piano.
yes.
Oh.
Oh, he's so funny. And Peter Sellers,
Peter
Pink Panther.
Sellers. Oh, he's hilarious.
I always watched it with my Pepe and Nana. My Pepe would just be laughing
They're
so hard
really
he made
funny.
me laugh. Yeah.
Peter Sellers was incredibly gifted. An
Oh,
incredibly gifted actor.
yes. Yeah. And I just find different things. I'm not without cable. I don't like reality shows.
Oh, well, right now you probably have to go to the Turner Classic Movies or something to watch what
Yes,
you like to
right,
watch.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is great. I love those. I love
Yeah,
those
I do too.
old shows. Have you ever watched the Marx Brothers things? And if you go to YouTube, the Harpo and Groucho
Oh,
and
I'll have to look them up.
oh yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, the Marx Brothers. Yeah, funny guys.
And like, have you ever heard of Bert and I from Maine?
Bert and I. No?
Oh, we had it on an old cassette. It was just as I would call them, maniacs.
Yeah.
Old Maine people and just dry humor.
Bert and I.
Bert and I.
So that's probably
You
on
have-
YouTube.
You have to look it up.
Really?
I don't know if they were ever videoed. I think they were just recorded.
Yeah.
It's that old, yes.
Like where is it from a local Maine program? or-
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I only knew my Pepe had it and
Oh.
we had a cassette of it back in the
It
day.
might be on YouTube. Somebody might
Yeah,
have put it
I'm
on-
sure. Yes,
Is it
but
B-U-R-T? Or B-E-R-T?
B-E-R-T, I believe.
Oh.
Bert and I, yeah.
Oh, so it's Ernie's story then from Sesame Street. Bert and I. No, it's another
No,
bird.
not the same.
Another bird. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
He like one of the jokes is a tourist comes along and they find this older guy sitting on the side of the road and they say, "Where's this road go?" And he says, "The road don't go nowhere. It starts right where it is." And so it's kind of like
Oh,
the
like
the dry humor like that, you
Like
know.
that.
So yeah,
You ever watch the Beverly Hillbillies? Or-
I have.
Yeah.
That's
So,
okay.
it's okay.
You know,
Bert
it's all
and I
right.
sounds a
yeah.
little
Yeah.
more sophisticated. So
Yeah.
I have to see if it's out there then. Oh. So let me ask you, one of the questions sometimes I ask is to think about a person in your life that you think about and you say, you can say in your heart, I am so grateful that this person was in my life and this is how this person has influenced me and made who I am, made me who I am. Who would that
Tell me
be?
who I am.
Or shaped me, I mean, not just the only person, but has shaped who I am.
Well, I guess there's quite a few people that
Or you
shaped
can
me,
say more
but
than one.
the number one that I think was my mother, always saying, you know, don't care what people say. If they're being mean, then that's their own opinion. Always be nice back. Don't have a steel tongue, you know. So I guess that's what quite molded me the most. Granted, I didn't listen to it always, but I think that's why I was so easy to find friends everywhere I went, because I might have thought something in my head, but I didn't say it because I wasn't sure how light their heart was. So
How light or how
yeah, like
fragile?
Fragile.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Oh, so she taught you how to be careful with your words.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
What did people give you a hard time when you were younger, or did you find yourself in
I
those
was
circumstances?
5'10". I stuck out of a crowd, and
Yeah.
yes, I got picked on in high school quite a bit. I had a small, trusted group of friends. We jumped from clique to clique, and when that clique got too dramaful, then we went to another one.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't, I don't like when people talk too much bad terms about people, and they want to change everybody else's minds around them to think the same way, and it's like, unless you were the fly on the wall, you don't know for sure.
Oh, the gossip part.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, that happens. Yeah, that's kind of a natural thing that happens. But yeah, if you have a mechanism for working against or working
Exactly.
with that, yeah.
Yeah,
So you learned that at a very young age, or your mother instilled that.
I did. And being the youngest of
Because
four,
the last time I saw your mother, she was yelling at me. I don't know why.
I doubt
She,
that.
she doesn't practice what she preaches. No, just kidding. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Granted, we're human. We can be.
I was gonna say that.
I'm not perfect by any means.
Yeah. So, okay. So go ahead. I interrupted you.
No,
My silly
no,
joke.
no. That I would say she was the most influential. But my friend Nancy out in Ohio, older woman, I learned quite a bit from her as well. She was probably 68 when I lived out there, and she had told me of her life differences and how she didn't talk to a couple of her brothers. She called one of them the dead brother, and but he wasn't passed away, and that kind of startled me. I was like, oh my goodness, like if your siblings are still alive, bury the hatchet. Don't hold grudges. Just your siblings, your family.
Yeah.
So.
So it was kind of a negative lesson.
Yeah, there were some positive things with her,
Yeah.
but also that,
Yeah, a
to
lesson learned
see
from
that
something
such a
negative.
positive person could carry such a terrible hatchet.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Huh.
So.
What about? Yeah.
I know.
How does that happen?
Sorry.
So what about? Think about this for a moment. Then I'm going to ask you a little deeper. Go a little deeper and ask you what is something that you have learned on your own that has that you can say this is one thing that I learned in my 26 years of life that I have right now.
Okay. So,
I said 26 years. You didn't even say anything.
oh, 26. Ha, thank you very
No
much. No,
Anyway, go ahead.
quite more. So, as you know, I grew up in a Protestant church, and not saying anything bad towards that because I learned a lot of good things from there too.
Yeah.
But they were tunnel visioned, and so when I moved to Tennessee, I learned not to be as tunnel visioned. Like that, the book cover doesn't mean what you think it does. So I gave everybody a chance when I was down there. I wanted to be a little bit different, and I found the most beautiful friends, whereas otherwise I would have been told not to go near them. So I guess that's probably.
Yeah, well, that's good. So it was through traveling that you learned that you want to
Yes.
see different people, and
Yep,
that's a good lesson.
it was.
And now that's part of the practice of how you lead your life today, correct?
It is.
All right.
I try to keep remembering. As I said, I'm human. I'm imperfect. So.
Yeah, we can have things in our lives that we learn, but we're like, I always thought that we don't need like new rules. We just need to be reminded of the old ones all
Right.
the time. So,
Yeah.
So
Yes. Always.
when you ever quote that, make sure you give me credit because I think I'm the only person that ever came up with that. Give credit where credit is due.
Right.
Yeah. So what about we're talking about stories because this show is about stories and people's stories, and I was wondering if you had a story in your life that you treasure, that you go back to, and
Oh my goodness.
and if you can't think of that right away, then I can ask you. There's something else I could ask you that could be closer to home than that.
Yeah, I would say Probably working on the cruise line was really fun. Um, I worked on American Canadian Caribbean line out of Warren, Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the draft of the boat was 6 feet, so it actually was able to go up the Hudson River into
What's the draft of the boat? What do you mean?
the part of the boat that goes under the water.
Yeah.
So the hull of the boat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was only 6 feet.
Uh-huh.
So most boats go quite deeper for cruise lines.
Yeah, yeah.
And we did the New England Islands and then went up to Chicago, a 16-day trip.
Mm-hmm.
The average age of the people were 70.
Mm.
I was crew. I worked from like 6 a.m. till 2 in the afternoon. We had a 2-hour break in the afternoon, and then we did dinner.
Yeah.
And most of my crew members like either took naps or went somewhere, and I would sit down in the dining room and just talk to people.
Yeah.
They had the best stories.
Oh,
It's like, yeah, so
older people.
it was so great. Kind of like being in the airport, but talking to people.
Do you remember a cool story that one of them told you?
Oh
or-
my goodness. No, I mean it was this and that. I just
There's a lot of them, huh?
yes, yeah,
And you enjoy that.
I did. I
Now,
did.
why? Tell me a little bit of why people said they call you an old soul. You say?
Probably because I like Frank Sinatra and
Oh.
older music and like the, you know,
But how did you develop that taste? Besides your parents or was it your
I-
grandfather? You told me.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
my grandparents and just different people I met along the way.
Mhm.
So,
So
yeah.
some of the people that you met also have the same interest.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, and some of my younger friends have the same interests. So.
So then, how do you feel about some of the? How do you look at some of the newer things?
Oh, I like it. I just don't like. I like pretty much every music and movies, but I don't like the heavies of anything.
The heavies of anything?
Not the heavy metal or the heavy rap, where they're swearing and talking
Oh,
rather
okay.
than singing,
Yeah, yeah,
or you can't make out any words that they're saying.
Oh, and you don't like. You also don't like the reality TV thing.
No, because there's too much drama and it's made up. It's made up.
Also, you watched a few.
Oh yeah, I watched Big Brother back in the
You get
day
hooked?
and
Oh, I remember
Bachelor
that. I
like
remember
way
the
back
Big
in the
Brother.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you said
No.
no more of this.
No, no more.
That's enough of that.
Yeah.
So you try to keep it light.
Yes.
What do you do to keep things light in your life? What do you practice?
I remember to get out in nature and hike and just be quiet.
Yeah.
Take in God's nature and just, appreciate each day that is given because
Mhm.
people forget that every day is a gift.
Hmm.
So,
Oh, we can go back to that, but maybe we'll go back around it with this question. What I want to do, this is one thing that I'd like to ask because sometimes it's important to know if there's been a situation in your life that also has changed you or made you who you are or made you look at things differently suddenly. But usually it will be a challenging situation in your life, so you have to may have to dig back. So how about what is a situation in your life where you can go back and say this was a challenge for me. But the reason why I asked this, by the way, is because if you did go through a challenge, usually those are the things that are
yes.
very close to you and very close to your heart. And when you can share something that's very close to your heart, there will be somebody out there who can say, "Hey, I know what she's talking about," and that you may be able to inspire or help somebody out there. So
Yes.
go right ahead.
So, yeah, I was married, and when I lived in Cincinnati, my husband and I had these great friends. I called them gamer friends.
Mm-hmm.
We played these geeky board games, Settlers of Catan and Dr. Dread, and just cards until 1 in the morning, and we'd probably do it once or twice a month. There was 3 couples.
Sounds like
And
a lot of fun.
when I decided to leave, just because of differences between my husband and I, I even went to marriage counseling and tried to work it out, and
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't work out. Because I was the one that left, everybody took his side
Mm-hmm.
and just made their own decision. They didn't even have all the facts,
Mm.
and that really hurt because they were my best friends for 5 years.
Mm.
My heart got ripped out for leaving my ex, and it
Mm.
got ripped out for my friends just
Mm.
stabbing me in the back and making
Mm.
up their own stories. So I vowed to never, and that's why I say I'm Switzerland, be, take sides, or because you don't really know what
Mm.
actually happened unless you were there.
Mm.
And even when you're there, it's, you could get it sideways. It's just,
Mm.
so
Hmm.
I, uh, that was the most hurtful thing.
Mm.
And I lost some really good friends that I will never be able to talk to again.
Mm.
And that is probably the only state of friends that I don't talk to now.
So I'm gonna have to definitely try very hard to bring back that smile that you started with. But I'm glad you shared that. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking uh, it's it's one thing that I noticed too is that we naturally tend to jump
Yes.
to places because of we hear one story. I
Mhm.
mean, sometimes it happens when you have kids.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
sometimes my daughter comes from, she's in college and she comes to visit us, and so she says she's having a hard time with the roommates.
Mhm.
Says, well, the roommates are doing this and they're doing that, and so I'm her father,
Mhm.
so I feel the pain a little bit, but I have to stop and say, you know what? That's her side of the story. I'm sure there's truth in it,
Mhm.
but I wasn't there, and I'm sure there's another side that has some other things
Right.
that So.
Because I also learned that, people look at it one way, and that you can look at it 5 different ways, and how
Mm-hmm.
you look at it is, how you choose. But there could be 5 different ways how that person said boo,
Mm-hmm.
and they might not have meant it the way that you said it.
Mm.
So how can you hold a grudge and get your friends to hold a grudge and gang up on that person by what you think happened?
Mm-hmm.
It just, that has always bothered me.
So I'm wondering, how long has it been since that time?
Whew. Let's see, I moved back in 2009, so
Mm-hmm.
it happened in 2009.
Okay, so it's just about like
10
wow,
years.
10 years.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, I mean, it's just a long shot. Do you think there's any possibility of making any reaching out contact and saying, hey,
I
those, those
I
wounds are pretty
had
raw?
I had a couple of friends that didn't take sides, and have been in contact with, but they weren't out of the tight circle.
Right.
And then I had one girlfriend that, took sides, that I used to always go hiking with. She wasn't quite a part of the gamer friends, but became, because I kind of brought her into it,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, blew up stories and whatnot. And so we've mended a little bit, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm always leery because I think if she did it to me back then,
Mm-hmm.
and I brought her into the group and she didn't know them quite as well as me, to keep myself safe, I guess.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So,
You
yeah.
think time? What they're saying, that they say time heals all wounds. Is
Yeah.
that true?
Oh, I don't hold a grudge against them at all.
Mm.
I just, I wish them the best, and I hope that they never do that again, where
Mhm.
they get their facts a little bit straighter before they cut somebody off.
Mm. And you're not gonna do that.
No, never.
Yeah.
Through school, I saw it too much too, because I
Mm.
was very shy growing up, and I'd see it happening. And people wouldn't know that this shy girl was there, and I'd see everything happening.
The what girl?
The shy girl.
The shy girl was there in
Yeah.
the dark. Nobody
Yeah,
could see
nobody noticed me until I was 5'10".
her. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's I suspect that that also you were talking about how when you have to deal with people in designing their homes.
Yes, I think that helped me. I think
Yeah.
everything happens for a reason, and I would
Mm.
do it all over again because I have an easier time of not taking it to heart
Mm-hmm.
and realizing, trying to put myself in their shoes and realizing that
Mm.
they haven't had to wake up and have their coffee and make their breakfast as normal,
Mm-hmm.
and they might have had a fight with their spouse, and then
Mm.
or the contractor tells them that, oh, this cabinet's damaged or something, so Jesse has to reorder it, and they just call me and yell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, I just take the bark out of it and listen to the words
Mm-hmm.
and just reassure them that this is kind of part of it and I'll fix it and don't you worry.
So that's a good
So,
asset to have
yeah.
to be able to do
Yeah,
that.
if I didn't go through what I did, I think
Mm.
I wouldn't be as good as what I do.
Mm.
Like the remodeling psychologist,
Mm-hmm.
as I
Would you
call
have
myself.
preferred to learn that another way, or do you think that?
No. I've also watched my dad over the years too,
Mm.
and I've seen his customers get irate at times, and just it's tough when you think something's going to be done and it isn't, and things build up. You're the last person, and they just yell at you. It isn't because of that one point.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of five,
Yeah.
and you're just the end of it.
Right.
So, yep. So that's kind of what I've learned, and I wouldn't want to go through it again, honestly, but I'm
Yeah.
glad I did.
Mm.
So, to know that the most wonderful people can just switch, flip a switch, I guess they should say.
Well, let's step into a happy time then.
Yes, yes. So, I loved moving back and getting back with the ocean and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when I
Yeah.
lived in Ohio, people asked me, did you go to Gillette Stadium into Fenway? I says, no, I haven't ever been.
Mm-hmm.
So when I moved back, I made sure to go to both, and
Yeah.
it's fun. I took in the sights a little bit more than what I had, and
Mm.
so,
Well, let me ask you a question that I ask everybody
okay.
closer to the end of the show. And I asked them if the ark was living,
Okay.
leaving.
Oh,
That's
the
what
ark
they
was
say.
leaving?
Leaving.
Okay.
Yeah. And they say you can take a couple of things with you, and that's it. What would you take? And a
What
couple,
do
I mean, not a few things, but
What would I take?
whatever you can carry
Out of my house?
out of wherever,
Out of wherever? Like people or things?
or people too. Yeah.
Wow. I would definitely take my boyfriend. Um, and
Nice guy, huh?
Oh, yes.
What if he misbehaves? You just throw him off the board.
I don't think he'll ever misbehave.
No?
No.
Oh man, we got time to talk about this guy?
He's wonderful.
Yeah.
I would say that, and maybe I don't have dogs anymore. That would have been my thing if I still had dogs.
Oh, okay.
Well, I have a turtle. I've had him for 19 years.
Whoa.
Yes.
Probably gonna live longer too.
I'm probably gonna have to will him to my nephews and nieces.
Yeah, they live a long
So,
time.
I would probably take Henry, but he would already kind of be on the ark. So
Henry's just
Yeah, Henry, yes. And trying to think what else.
Well, that's
I
good.
don't know if the world was like going to be flooded.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Your turtle and your boyfriend.
Yes.
That's good. That's fine. You don't have to. What would you like to? Anybody in the world may be able to watch this or stumble upon this someday.
Okay.
So, what would you like to tell the world? What would be the one thing you'd like to tell the world? This is don't make it.
Yeah.
I don't want you to feel like this is like a
No.
Miss America question.
Show
and-
kindness to everyone.
Okay.
If there's one thing great you can do every day, is show kindness to everyone.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining me.
Sure.
And I'm glad. Thank you for taking the time. And I mean, you know how you felt when I asked you to be on the show, but I know that you
I was
didn't.
a little
You
nervous.
said yes right away, so that's wonderful. When people think about it. You're a wonderful guest. I hope you had a
Thank
good
you.
time. Hope you
I
enjoy
did.
yourself.
I did.
I talked about all kinds of different things, but I hope you enjoy yourself. Oh, and I'm
Oh.
passing on a little something to people that come to my show so they can treasure it. Keep it. You drink coffee? You drink coffee, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. There's a little people of interest.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like the guy in the hat. See,
There
it
you
looks
go.
like Sherlock Holmes.
I'll tell you about him later. And thank you everyone for joining us. Again, we'll see you next time when we invite the next person that can tell their story.
Fine.